I've been waiting for you.
Hello everyone, it's BYG. I got me back with another video. Today we got the most important bit of news for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS ever since we saw Yusaku Fujiki's character design. And that is the information about the cast. Who's doing the stuff behind the scenes? Who's going to be directing Yu-Gi-Oh! Who's going to be doing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, which is basically going to show how Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS is going to be in terms of a series, because it really does matter at the end of the day who's working behind the scenes. And that's a lot of the reasons why Arc 5 has been received as negative in Japan as well as in the US, I would imagine, by some of you guys that watch the subreddit. So let's talk about the first bit of news, and that is that Yusaku Fujiki's voice actor is named Ashishi Shoya, and that's pretty hard to say, but basically I've searched this dude up. I'm trying to figure out what work he's done, and so far the only thing I could find was just a little bit of information, and it's that the main thing that he's done in terms of voice acting is for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. So that's something to be worried about in my personal opinion, simply because in my personal opinion you need to have something on your bucket in terms of series. Now, looking at all this stuff, he's only done romantic comedies, and he's been in romantic comedies such as Siren as well as Orange, these anime series, which, let's see, for a character that does not like to stand out and a character that's very serious and playing in a romantic drama / romantic comedy, it's going to be interesting to see. Now, I know he's going to hit the nail really well when it comes to Yusaku doing comedic stuff as well as humor, because, you know, you're doing romantic comedy and drama, so he's got the points there. But for a serious character, I want to see what he's going to do. Now, I never heard a clip of him voice acting. I'm going to wait until VRAINS to surprise myself. But yeah, that's basically it. He's a very novice voice actor, I would say. But if you actually go on the wiki page, which I'll link down below, that shows what he's done. He's played a schoolboy for 2 episodes and then a male student for 2 episodes as well. So I'm kind of excited to see how he plays Yusaku in school, because it's definitely going to have to start off with Yusaku going to school, since he is a schoolboy and since his attire is something that someone at school would wear, a very preppy school in my opinion. The other cool bit of info is that the series theme song is going to be called With the Wind. Now, that of course makes sense simply because they're riding on hoverboards. In addition to that, there's something called the data win, which we got a few months ago, actually not a few months ago, possibly a few weeks ago, from, I would say, a V-Jump or a Weekly Jump, something along those lines. And the song's actually written by someone named Tommy, who's done a few songs for the anime series known as JoJo Bizarre, which is very popular. A lot of my friends have talked about how good that show is, so I'm gonna guess the show is really well in terms of music as well. So let's get down to the most important news that we got, at least from this information. And I understand Yusaku's what's it called, voice actor, the little information that we got about VRAINS in the setting, but this all stems from this individual as well as a few other producers. And this one individual can depict the whole outcome of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, and that's why Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 in Japan has gotten so much hate, because of this anime series director, and that's Ono. So the anime series director for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS is Yoshida. Now, I want to clarify some things, is that when I compared Ona to Yoshida, as I said that he was the anime series director, I'm actually wrong. He's the series direction. He does the series direction in the sense of he does the scripts, etc., like the plot. While the director is the newbie. His name is Mashiro Hosoda. He did Battle of Gods in the Toei series. So basically what I want to say is that when you compare Ona to the person that's working on VRAINS, it should be the newbie, the person that worked on Battle of Gods, while you should compare the person that works on Arc 5 known as Kashimiro, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong as well. He's basically the Yoshida of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. So I just want to clarify that ahead of time, guys. I'm sorry I made that mistake. But the thing is that they both have equivalent roles in the sense of the story. So Yoshida does have a huge factor in how the story is going to play out for VRAINS. So everything I'm stating about how his writing style is going to play a major role in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. Now, I don't know how to take this. Shin Yoshida, don't get me wrong, he's done a lot of wonders for Yu-Gi-Oh! Such as Season 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Which is okay. I mean, Season 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! For GX at least, which is okay. In addition to, he was the person that managed a lot of the scripts for the Doma arc. He also did a good portion of 5Ds, but the portion that he did for 5Ds was pretty damn much hated from a lot of the fan base. Now, Yoshida doing Season 4 of GX, he did my favorite moment, which was Yugi versus Judai. That moment's just beautiful, but he didn't animate it. But as for Duel Monsters, he did season 4, I would imagine, right? Like in terms of scripts, and I would say he had a good portion to work on darts. But when you look at Yoshida's writing, it's always like, this is how it goes. Female characters aren't utilized that well. There's this huge group, whatever you want to call it, Doma, that's what he worked on, I would say, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. For Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D, it was Iliasters, I'm talking the technology one, the futuristic people, the person such as Zone that hated Yusei, he held a grudge against. Now all you have to do is literally put a little bit of effort into thinking about what I just stated, and it's going to come to you. Now when you look at Doma as well as Iliaster, the one that contains Zone, the group, they're both the big group, they're both very dominant, one's from the future, well, the other's from the past, but it's an evolved future. Because look at Doma, Atlantis. Atlantis was very evolved, and then that was 10,000 years, but Tim lost his memories 5,000 years ago, or 3,000, whatever dub you prefer. So they come from this very futuristic civilization, and it's a big group. Doma had a few members, Zone's group had a few members. So you guys get what I'm saying, right? For Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, it's most likely going to have this big ass group that's going to be running through the series. And they might be the head organization in the Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS world. Now, I have not read the little spoiler that we got so far for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, or I wouldn't say spoilers, but the little plot that we got. But let's talk about the main individual, and that is Masashi Hosoda. Now, what this individual has done is that he's the main director for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. He's basically the owner. Well, Yoshida is more of the Kamishiro for Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, but at the same time, their roles are very equivalent as they work both on the writing portion of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. I would say Yoshida's is more pronounced. But getting back on topic, this individual named Masahiro Hosoda, this individual has worked on one thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! And this was not by NES, rather Toei. He's worked on the Toei series. Now I'm looking at his Anime News Network catalog basically, and it states that he was the episode director. Now I don't know how long for the Toei series, most likely the whole thing. But the thing is, he's worked on a lot of things, possibly the most pronounced being Battle of Gods. He's also worked on One Piece. Now, the thing is, all these series that I listed are very different from Yu-Gi-Oh! Simply because Yu-Gi-Oh! is just different. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a very different show from all these series, and all these series are very different from each other, but it's going to be interesting to see how he directs the Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. I'm excited. I did enjoy Battle of Gods. I do hear a lot of positive reviews from the One Piece anime, so it's going to be interesting, and we can't judge him yet simply because he hasn't worked on anything Yogo related. We can judge Yoshida though, because his writing style stays very consistent from Yu-Gi-Oh! Show to Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, and a lot of the female characters don't get utilized that much. So I'm not saying it's going to happen yet, but most likely Aoi is not going to be utilized later on in the show. Now let's talk about the person that's going to be doing the dual writing, and that is Masahiro Hikakube, and that was through Google Translate. So I'm gonna have to wait until someone does say his name in Japanese, but this individual is possibly the most, I would say, consistent worker for Yu-Gi-Oh! I would imagine, because he's done basically everything. He's done the dual layout for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, GX, 5Ds, Bonds Beyond Time, Zexal, Arc 5, as well as Pyramid of Light. So he's been here since day one. The duels in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are well, in my opinion. Of course, the grander ones, the Yami Merrick versus Yami, the duels that are very hyped up, like Yusei versus Rex Goodwin with Crow and Jack alongside him. These big hype up duels, of course, they're going to be written better, but the thing is, this dude's been here since day one. There really is nothing to worry about. Now, I've yet to see Arc 5, so I don't know how well the duels are, but from what I've heard, there's only been like a few dueling mistakes, one being the recent one in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 episode, but they did fix it up, the rebroadcasting. And the person that's going to be doing the character designs for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS is Kanishihara. And the thing with this individual is that he's been here since day one. He's also been in Duel Monsters, episode 74. Basically, through that point, he's worked on the other series such as 5Ds, GX, Zexal, etc., as well as Dark Side Dimensions. Just from looking at his work, it seems that Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS is going to be very well animated. I'm just hoping it's very consistent, at least. So now let's talk about the sound director for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, and that's Masuoka Hiroshi. Now, this person has worked on Dark Side Dimensions as well as Arc 5 and Zexal. So we don't need to worry about the sound whatsoever. From Dark Side Dimensions, like from watching the movie several times, the sound's beautiful. And when I'm talking about sound, I'm talking about the sound effects. In DSOD, all the sound effects were good. The only thing I probably disliked was, actually that got kind of annoying, was when Igami would summon his cubic monsters. But besides that, everything else was well. I've watched a few Arc 5 episodes here and there, And the thing is that the sound effects are really good there as well. So there is really nothing to worry about, at least for the sound director for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, simply because it's good. So now it's time to talk about the person that's going to be producing the score for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, and this individual's name is very hard to pronounce, but I'm going to attempt it. Mitsuma Nushiki, and if I pronounce that wrong, I'm very sorry. But this individual has worked on Duel Monsters. Yes, Duel Monsters. And you guys know how much I love Duel Monsters score. Things like Wave, that's probably the best song from Duel Monsters. Passionate Duelist, Duels of Friendship, oh my god, Wrath of a God, or God's Anger, I'm pretty sure. All these wonderful songs from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, they're just beautiful. Sadly, he didn't work on DSOD. I'm not very fond of the Dark Side Dimensions soundtrack, but I think that if this person worked on that soundtrack, it would have been so much better, the film. I did like the remixes for Passionate Duelist though, and a lot of the old OG Yu-Gi-Oh! Songs that got remixed. I'm not really worried about the score for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS because I think it's in good hands. The only flaw I have with Duel Monsters is that they repeat the songs over and over again. But granted, since this is 2017, there's going to be a lot more music, because if you look at Duelist Kingdom, they would always play that song. It was very annoying. So let's read off the bio for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS, and that is that there is a city where network security has evolved, the Den City. In this city, where the advanced network technology developed by the corporation SOL Technology, a virtual reality space called Link VRAINS has been developed, and in the VR space, people became excited over the latest way to duel. However, in Link's VRAINS, a mysterious hacker group that hacks via dueling has appeared, the Knights of Hyono. Their goal is to destroy the AI world known as Cyberse that exists somewhere in the depths of the network. However, there is this one duelist who stands out against the threat to Link VRAINS. His name is Playmaker. He has become famous in the network world for crushing the Knights of Hyono in fierce duels without mentioning his name, but the true identity of Playmaker is an ordinary high school boy, Fujiki Yusaku, who pursues the Knights of Hyono that appear in VRAINS in order to find out the truth of an incident that happened in the past. So let's sort of break this down. Now, earlier in the video, I didn't read the spoilers whatsoever, and I said that with Yoshida writing there's going to be this group, and guess what? I figured that out. Or well, I speculated that. And I knew that they were going to be part of the VR world. Well, that was at least for my speculation. But the fact is, what could they mean by this incident that happened years ago? Also, before I talk about what my thoughts are on this whole thing that happened years ago, is that Yusaku seems like a Batman 2.0. He seems more like a Dick Grayson. And if you guys remember that little TV show called The Batman, how sometimes Dick would play sick to work with Batman. I remember there's one episode, but I'm getting way too off topic. But yeah, what I think this incident that happened years ago is it's going to be some shit where the main leader had something happen to him, or possibly, in my opinion, that it's going to be like a Zero Reverse, something along those lines. I'm getting a lot of 5Ds vibe. And one thing I do like is the fact that the AI world known as Cyberse, so that's the world that Yusaku and co are going to be dueling in. But to give my thoughts on this information, the writing for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS is sort of, in my opinion, going to be, the hype has gone down a little bit. That's all I'm going to say. The dueling is going to possibly be okay, but the sound and the music are most likely going to be really good, because I'm a fan of the person that worked on the DM soundtrack. As for the sound effects, I'm really not bothered with the sound effects. They sound good to me. So that's the positives from this sort of information that we got for Yu-Gi-Oh! VRAINS. And the final thing I want to talk about is that little image we got. It's actually pretty cool. So we get a silhouette of Yusaku Fujiki while the Playmaker is driving on his hoverboard on the data window. And we have Decode Talker as well as Firewall Dragon with the mysterious life form on Yusaku's hoverboard. So that image is cool, and the city looks very bland in the background, so I'm hoping that it has some sort of color added to it. But that's the video for today. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day as always. And be sure to subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh! content.